Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we dive into the exciting world of corporate filings. This time we're tackling Western Digital's latest 10Q report, and let me tell you, this one's a real page turner if you're into accounting. So what's the story? Western Digital just finished a big split, separating their hard drive and flash memory businesses. We will see their divorce papers, and that impacts how they make money. Before we start, if you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below for even more nerdy stuff. First off, we're looking at the financial health of Western Digital as of March 28, 2025. This is their financial report card, and we need to see what grades it got. Let's check the table. One of the most important high-level values is assets, the stuff it owns. Total assets is sitting at about $16.4 billion, is not the same as last time. Western Digital's total assets shrunk. They used to have assets worth over 24 billion. Why the big split? Let's take a look at how Western Digital did financially. Their net income or profit from continuing operations is $772 million. A great comeback considering in the same period last year, they were actually losing money with a loss of $8 million. This income tax number is pretty important. Another very important value, earnings per share. Basic earnings per share is 126 compared to just zero, printing way more earnings per share than before, but is it sustainable? Okay, let's see how Western Digital is doing overall if we account for all income and losses. Their net income is $520 million. That's a big improvement from last year where they earned only $135 million. So on paper, their numbers look great because of all the reasons we've mentioned, but let's check their cash flow to see if this is real. And their cash flow from operating activities is $945 million. Net cash flow from operating activities was negative last year. Last year, they were spending more than they earned. This means they are recovering after the supply and demand issues. Their cash and cash equivalents is sitting pretty at $347 billion. That's almost double the amount they had at the start of the year. The business has been printing money in this period. The separation of the flash business is a big story here, so let's see what they have to say about it. As we mentioned at the start, Western Digital has effectively split into two companies, with the flash business now operating separately. The historical results of the SanDisk business, the flash business, are now being reported as what they call discontinued operations. This lets us see how that business used to perform. For example, discontinued operations revenue for the last 3 months was $602 to Shanghai, which boosted numbers, and $72 last year. Months was $62 million last year. What's interesting is they sold part of their indirect holdings, an 80% stake in SanDisk Semiconductor Shanghai, which boosted numbers. Alright, let's break down where Western Digital makes their money. They have 3 main segments: cloud, client, and consumer. Cloud is still their bread and butter, bringing in about $2 billion. Most of Western Digital's revenue comes from the Americas at $1.1 billion. Then Asia. It will be interesting to see what happens to their geographical distribution in the upcoming years with all these changes in trade policy that are happening. Now, let's switch gears. Every company has to lay out the risks that they see on the horizon. It's time to look at what Western Digital is afraid of. The first one is pretty standard: adverse global or regional conditions and tariffs. This is a fancy way of saying that global recessions or trade wars would be bad for business. They also talk about dependence on a limited number of suppliers. This means they're vulnerable if something goes wrong with those suppliers. It could affect their ability to get the parts they need to make their products. Then there's the big one, the outcome of their recent split. The separation could lead to stock price volatility, or management focus could be diverted. Cybersecurity incidents are also high on the list of potential problems. A successful cyber attack could disrupt operations, damage their reputation, and cost them a lot of money. It also could violate customer data safety. Another risk is product defects. If their hard drives have problems, it can lead to warranty costs, lost sales, and damage to their brand image. Finally, they acknowledge their level of debt. Having a lot of debt makes them vulnerable if their business slows down, since they still need to make those debt payments. In terms of people they have to employ, they can look into that table that outlines what kind of benefits they get depending on their employment status and why they left. Another important aspect to touch upon for companies this size is to look at derivative instruments and hedging activities. It is important to try to reduce risk, for example, with fluctuations in foreign exchange rates. Now looking at these results more broadly, Western Digital appears to be navigating a significant transition successfully. The financial results for this quarter show a company recovering strongly from a period of economic downturn and making strategic moves to streamline its operations. However, there are risks to keep in mind, including integration challenges and supply chain vulnerabilities. Overall, there is nothing to suggest the business is not healthy. Alright, that's our breakdown of Western Digital's latest filing. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.